Hi everyone, Chris from Divine Key, coming to you to chat about some spiritual stuff. Dealing with some allergies, so my eyes are a bit lunked out today. Not sure what's going on with the weather. But today we're going to talk about grounding and what that means. Often we hear that grounding. The answer to everything is, grounding. So that's what we're going to chat about today. So let's see what the weather's looking like outside. It's a little cloudy today. And if you're listening to this on my podcast, then welcome and please like and subscribe. And so let's get into it. Grounding. This topic is kind of interesting because I do believe that grounding is important. And grounding can mean so many different things depending on who you're talking to. So, some of the things that grounding could mean, depending on who it is it could mean taking a walk barefoot outside and really literally grounding, feeling the earth under your feet, getting your toes in the sand, getting your toes in the dirt, walking in a forest, walking in a field, anywhere where you are in the middle of nature and you become in tune with Mother Earth. That is one form of grounding. Another form of grounding is related to the chakras. So, if you're not familiar with chakras, um, the most common way of looking at it is there are seven main energy points in our bodies that people typically talk about. There are actually a lot more energy points, but the main seven that people talk about are the chakras that go up the center of your physical body. So, starting at the top of your head is your crown chakra, then moving down to the middle of what you would consider people imagine would be in the middle of your forehead is your third eye. Then the next one would be your throat chakra, then your heart chakra, and then moving down to just above your belly button would be your solar plexus chakra. Then down around your hip area is your sacral chakra. And then finally, at the very bottom base of your spine would be considered your root chakra. And when we talk about grounding in relation to the chakras, we're talking about connecting the root chakra. It's the root of all things. It is the basis of life. So what that means is like all the things you need to be comfortable in life, which is shelter, food, water. Those are the things that are contained within the root chakra. So when we talk about grounding, there can be maybe you have a meditation that talks about the most one of the most popular ones is a tree uh, imagery in a meditation, which as you go into the meditation, there's a description of you being a tree, and as you breathe, then you extend roots out your root chakra into the earth, all the way down into the center of the earth, and connect to the heart of the earth and Gaia, whatever you want to call it. And then you pull that energy up into your physical body and you become tethered, you become connected through your energy center to the energy of earth. So that would also be considered grounding. Some uh, people I know have gone through a process where they use a chakra mat, where I believe there's different energy centers and lights that can help you energize and connect to certain chakras. So that would be the root chakra once again. When I'm doing a Reiki session with somebody, I ground them in two ways. One of them is I work at the base of their spine in that area and energize that root chakra where we imagine it to be in our physical body, but then also our feet. So I do, when I want to really ground somebody in a Reiki session, I will spend quite a bit of time at their feet, the soles of your feet. I will cross my hands uh, so that the energy can be more balanced at the root and feel more within the body of earth is what we're going for when we talk about grounded. So when you, and that's the lower chakra, so the root chakra, the sacral and the solar plexus, those are lower chakras, and lower meaning that they are closer to earth, to 3D, to the reality, to what I would consider pentacle energy in the tarot. All of that is earth energy and grounding, hence earth grounding, it makes sense. All these things are interconnected. The words will change, but they're all talking about very similar things. And when you feel all up in your head or at a loss or you're not sure, out of focus, all those things, people come back and say, well, ground, be grounded, enter it grounded. So grounding is a good thing. I'm not naysaying grounding. I'm not saying you shouldn't be grounded. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have a grounding practice. All those are good things. Part of that I want to also throw in here because it just popped into my head is when we talk about grounding, it could also be in relation to what we consume. So, like if you want to become more grounded, then root vegetables, things that come from the earth, that grow and prosper within the earth itself. So, carrots, potatoes, things that you have to dig out of the earth to consume, that would help ground you. Beets would be another one, radishes, any kind of bulb vegetable, onions also would be part of that. And that can help ground you. A long time ago, back in the 80s, was I read something about if you put your drinks in a ruby glass, a red colored glass, that would also ground you, energize that chakra. Because as whatever it is you're drinking is in that ruby glass, then it absorbs the energy of red, which is a grounding color. You can have crystals to help you be grounded too. So, any kind of red, crystal red is associated with the root chakra in most philosophies. So, when we think of root chakra, we think of the color red often. And so, red things, wearing red, having a red stone, um, like red jasper is a good example of a good grounding stone, and also black. So black is grounding. Black stones can be very grounding. Tourmaline, jet. Um, there's some others that can be helpful that have additional attributes as well, but they can all ground as well and clear. So grounding is a great thing. Now, when I'm talking to people, often in my coaching, when people talk about grounding and that's their answer, and it doesn't seem to be working. So here's the key, right? When all the things that you've tried to ground, all the things that you've tried in whatever guru is telling you that you should ground, and grounding energy is the best way to do it, and it doesn't seem to be helping. It doesn't seem to be alleviating what it is that you're trying to release, or it doesn't seem to be making you feel better in some way, then I would say instead of grounding, you need to focus on centering. So, centering is my go to when I feel off. And centering differs from grounding because centering is within you. Grounding, we often look outside of ourselves. All the things I just described are external to our physical body. What I'm speaking of is centering within your physical body. We are humans living in a 3D world in an earth capacity, and we are part of this. We are part of Earth. There's a piece of us that is part of Earth. So we have that within us. And the chakra itself, right, the root chakra, is within us. Although when we talk about the root chakra, we talk about how to activate it external to us, which is interesting. So when I talk about centering, I am really talking about going within your center of your being. So not necessarily a particular chakra, although if I were to name a chakra that I would be working with when I talk about centering, it would be somewhere between the heart chakra and the solar plexus, like a combination, like where they would overlap is where I would say your center is. It's also been taught in some places that that is where the Akashic records live, in that kind of heart space. I'm going to call it a heart space, although it's not fully heart, it also engages the solar plexus energy. So when I'm talking about centering, I'm talking about going into that part of you that maybe is where people believe your soul lives, or the very essence of who you are. So how do you do that? How do you center? Well, you a big piece of it is to allow yourself some silence. It's to allow yourself to be still. Yes, I know it's crazy. In this world, being still is very difficult to do. I think that in some ways that's become easier since 2020 for some people because they began a practice then while things were shut down. And we were kind of forced into stillness in a lot of ways during that time. And I think it happened also, this is a sidebar, but I think that maybe 2020 happened because we needed that. We were fast tracking to implosion. So um, as a culture, as a society, so we needed something to put the brakes on, and that in essence did it. Good, bad, or however it played out in our individual lives as a collective, I think it was needed to put the brakes on. So back to being centered. In order to center, you need to have the ability to disconnect from external stimulus. So that can be meditation. Does not have to be meditation though. It's kind of funny because we've even taken meditation and we've made it an active thing. So guided meditations, we're imagining we're in a field by a stream and the clouds, and all of that is engaging us and not giving us stillness necessarily. So, and stillness is not ignoring everything that comes into our head, but it is being able to breathe through anything that shows up and not engaging with it. Not it's acknowledging it, but not engaging with it, right? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about centering. So you can get there with breathing. There's definitely breathing techniques in a yoga um, practice. Now, I have not been taught officially yoga. I have been taught some breathing practices that help. And um, if you're interested in that, I would say go seek out a yoga teacher and ask for a breathing exercise that can center you. And one of them is the Hamsa, which is breathing in and out through that area of your body that I was talking about being centered out of where your heart chakra would be in your solar plexus. is to breathe in and then breathe out through your heart chakra. Um, and all of these take practice. So, like, all of this may be like, oh my God, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's why there's teachers out there. So, I'm sure if you Google, you will find someone who can teach you techniques to help you center. Another way to center is for me, I just turn my attention inward and focus on spirit's connection to me. So I center when I read or when I do my work. So that's reading tarot, reading runes, doing Reiki. All of those times when I'm connecting to spirit, I'm actually centering myself. So it doesn't work very well if I don't do that. Um, it is a disengaging from my ego. It's disengaging from external stimuli. Now, I'm aware of external stimuli. I'm not in a trance. I'm not gone um, as I do my work, but I am not engaging externally in the moments that I am engaging with spirit. So, to sum it up, I would say the key to centering is to connect to spirit, however that works for you. It may be there are gateways to get into it. So meditation is a gateway to get into that space where you connect to spirit and you feel centered. There is the mala beads. So for a while I was working with a mala bead because I was in a high stress situation in my life and I couldn't seem to like let go or relax. But going through the mala and doing the mantra associated with the mala 108 times, by the time I got to the end of it, I was much calmer. There is toning, there's sound bath, there is even the practice of, for me, pulling a tarot card and just reading that for myself gets me in a centered space because that's where my muscle is uh, built, is around the tarot deck. You can get centered by doing external things, but I have a firm belief that they have to come from spirit. So a creative endeavor can be a grounding kind of activity, although ideally going being centered, you should ideally if you can get to center when you need it on this on a spur of the moment or in a brief instant when you're frazzled and overwhelmed and stressed and anxious and when you can activate going to center, that's when it's going to benefit you the most. It's in those moments of stress, it's in those moments of confusion. It's in those moments of chaos and anxiety where being able to center is going to benefit you the most. It's going to calm your nervous system. It's going to calm your physical body. And it's going to give you some space to be able to approach whatever's going on with a clear mind. So remember, in these podcasts for right now, especially here at the beginning of the process for me, I'm just touching on the surface of this stuff. We could dive so much deeper in so many ways. So if there's a topic that you want to deep dive on, you want to maybe have me have someone on to talk with, please let me know and we can dive deep. For now, we're just going to touch on a whole bunch of topics, bring them to your attention, and then you can go find a teacher. You can come back and ask me for more information. However, you're led to dive deeper into it. I'm sure you'll find the answers. So, for now, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for showing up. And be well, and we'll see you next time on Divine Keys, spelled QI, Spiritual Chat. Bye.